If I were not Alexander, then I should wish to be Diogenes is a statement that Alexander the Great made, and it's something that I resonate with very deeply. It's a dilemma I battle with constantly, being someone who is naturally very ambitious. And obviously, I've shown you guys my receipts thus far, not to be egotistical, but just to provide some facts. By 25 years old, I've already attained millions of dollars, financial freedom, run a business, have supercars and a penthouse in New York City. And I'm still hungry for more. I'm still not comfortable. I still desire to conquer more in the world. I still desire to move up and keep ascending. And it's not even necessarily for money. I've become less and less materialistic. It's more so just the act of conquering, the act of ascending, and an overwhelming ambition that is beyond the scope of my control. And that's precisely what I want to touch on in today's video. It's a dilemma that I face because I study Stoicism. I've been studying Stoicism pretty diligently for the past several years, maybe 5 years now. And I feel I've gotten really good. I've made a lot of progress. Of course, none of us could be sages. I'm nowhere close to a Stoic sage, but I've made a lot of progress. We're all progressors in Stoicism, and I've made a good amount of progress. But one area that I have not progressed at all, and I constantly battle with the thought, it is to be content with not feeling the need to conquer. I forget if it was Seneca or Marcus Aurelius who said it. Could have been Epictetus who said it, but it was something along the lines of, I have conquered the need to conquer. And I'm going to post a video in a couple of days that I recorded a few weeks ago. It's unlisted right now. I'm going to post a video where I talk about my admiration for my father and how I believe he was genetically blessed in many areas. And I even touch on how he was blessed in this area where, while I've technically accomplished more than him on paper, in terms of financial success, I still believe that he's accomplished more than me and he lives a greater life than me because he's never felt the need to conquer the way I feel this need to conquer. He's conquered the need to conquer, and he's never had to try to do so. Me, I have to try to do so, and this is the topic that I want to touch on today, and it's whether I should or shouldn't. Perhaps I should just embrace being Alexander. My whole philosophy is living true to your biology. That's what I believe is going to lead to your best quality of life. And it seems I've stumbled upon a dilemma in my work with Stoicism, where I find many things congruent to my life philosophy with Stoicism, but here I've seen to hit some sort of a point where I can't seem to make any progress in it at all. And it's being satisfied with the need to conquer. Now, from a materialistic sense, I believe I have conquered that. And this might sound counterintuitive because, of course, I have a nice car, live in a nice penthouse and all. You just have to take my word for it that I've become a lot less materialistic. It's besides the point, though. I haven't at all conquered the need to conquer. I still wake up with that desire to conquer. It's quite literally the only thing that is on my mind all the time. I just think about how I'm going to conquer more, how I'm going to ascend more. And conquering, the act of conquering, doesn't always have to do with finance. It could have to do with influence. It could have to do with your body and health, like improving yourself in various ways. And this is very tied to my neurodivergent behaviors of only finding joy in ROI-related activities. I don't get any joy from non-ROI activities at all. I try to. I've been actively practicing to. That was one of my first videos on this channel coming back, where I'm actively trying to make efforts to enjoy non-ROI activities. But as I'm doing that, I find myself creating ROIs for those activities. I find myself justifying even those activities with ROIs, like telling myself that girls find it more attractive when guys live freely and do things without ROIs, like the guy who just goes out surfing and doesn't care about making money during the day. Like, I'm then attaching a new ROI to it. It's a tangent, but the point is, what I really wanted to discuss today is that perhaps I'm making a mistake by trying to conquer this. While I do believe it is ideal, while I do agree with Stoicism, I do agree with Diogenes, I do agree with the wisdom there, and Alexander himself agrees with it in this statement, and thus I resonate with it so much. Alexander the Great himself said, if I were not Alexander, then I would wish to be Diogenes. And that's recognizing the wisdom in this. He's recognizing that the person who has nothing, the person who has no power, no money, the person who has just like enough food and water and shelter to survive. Diogenes, when asked if you could do anything for me, he said, just please stand out of my way when the sun is hitting me. And that is that's the ideal. You don't need anything. And that's like true freedom. That's true happiness. That man who has conquered that need to conquer, he's attained more quality of life, he's attained more enjoyment, all of it without the material. And that, I believe, I agree with, is the ideal. However, me trying to live in that manner would be incongruent to my biology. I believe my inherent desire to conquer and my overwhelming sense of ambition is tied to my genetics, especially testosterone, and these things are beyond the scope of my control. So if I were to try to fight that then, if I were to try to fight what I am biologically programmed for, then I'm acting incongruent to my biology, which is against my philosophy. And I genuinely believe that that would actually lead me to a lower quality of life, because I would be trying to replicate the ideal life of somebody like Diogenes, who's biologically programmed to live that way. Like my father. My father, he's biologically programmed to be okay and very happy with a regular life. I must have gotten these genetics from my mother's side through the combination, which is odd because my grandfather on my father's side had overwhelming ambition as well. And it's like it skipped a generation. It is the most peculiar thing how that could happen in genetics. But somehow, whether it derived from my mother's side or skipped a generation on my father's side, I ended up with this overwhelming sense of ambition. And this, of course, is combined with environmental factors as well, all of which were also completely out of my control. I'll say it time and time again. You guys know I'm, like most physicists, a determinist. I don't believe in the compatibilism theory about free will. I'm a determinist. It's what one of my tattoos means. It's a pretty way of saying it. Fate. The point is, I didn't choose to be how I am. This is how I am. And I believe I'm better off accepting it. I am better off embracing who I am instead of fighting it, even though I recognize the wisdom in what Stoicism preaches. And I agree, and I live true to almost everything in Stoicism, but then there's certain things like this that is simply incongruent to my biology. And if I were to try my hardest to live like that man, live like Diogenes, it would be incongruent to my biology. There would be an imbalance within me. It would feel unright. I would wake up every single day feeling like something is wrong. And this extends to so many other concepts in life. This is why I'm so big on living true to your biology and embracing your genetics and who you are as a human being, even if that may contrast with societal norms, even if that may contrast with what society has programmed you to believe. I believe you are going to achieve your highest quality of experiencing consciousness, even if it's not the highest quality in a materialist sense, even if on paper you're living a lower quality of life. What you're experiencing, which is what matters, what you're actually experiencing, your consciousness, is going to be on the highest level when you're living true to your biology. And some of that may be counterintuitive to wisdom, like in Stoicism. So I'm going to link a video in the description of this video that gave me the idea to make this. It's from some guy, I think his name's Agora. He makes a lot of philosophy summary videos on people's character and their philosophies, guys like Alexander the Great, someone I admire more than anyone in the world who's ever lived, and I resonate deeply with on many levels. He tackles his philosophies. He talks about Julius Caesar's philosophies. It's a really great channel. I'd encourage you to check it out. So I'll link that video that gave me the idea to talk about this, and it goes more in depth into the saying, the statement that Alexander the Great made, which again, I'll remind you, if I were not Alexander, then I should wish to be Diogenes. And I just find it so remarkable that Alexander the Great was so introspective. He had the wisdom to recognize that. He had like, a lot of people, when they see Alexander the Great, and they don't read all of the history like I've read, they don't look into all the nuance of the certain interactions he's had. They just see him as some conqueror who's just very violent, and they don't see the true brilliance he had, especially at such a young age. And then to die at 31 years old mysteriously, people, some conspiracy theories, perhaps he was poisoned, or more than likely it was just from sickness, disease. And I often get visions I'm going to go in the same way, somewhere around 30 to 31 years old.